Hello and welcome to an extremely windy morning here at Peterson's Lookout. And we're going to talk about the difference between great leaders and good leaders. What separates great leaders from the rest of the bunch? Well, there are four key skills, and we're going to talk about the second skill that great leaders do that makes them stand out. Just to summarize what we're talking about, leadership is not something that you have. It's certainly not something you're born with. It is something that a person does. It's a process. There are certain behaviors. Communication is one that's important with regard to leadership, leading by example. There's a lot of things like that that are talked about in respect of leadership. But there are four key skills that great leaders do that ordinary leaders don't. And we've been talking through those, and in particular, the fourth, just to summarize, the fourth skill is that they're change masters. They're able to adapt to the environment that they live in, because in the world, you either the organism either adapts to the environment or it becomes extinct. And that's where great leaders are change masters. The third skill that they have is they are skilled learners. And what we mean by skilled learners is they have the ability to thrive on feedback. So when something happens, they take that information on board and then they integrate that into themselves, which leads back to that example of what we were talking about before, evolution. When the environment changes, the organism must change to the environment or it becomes extinct. And that's where great leaders do that. They're change masters. Sorry, they thrive on feedback. They're skilled learners. That's the third point. I'm just paying attention to the path here and I don't want to fall over. Check this out. This view here, if I can swing around here. I don't know if you can see that properly on the camera, but it just looks quite amazing. And over this way as well, as we come around here, I come down these steps. Had to use a different cameraman today because of the high level of wind. So I come down here. If I swing around this way, you can see, look at that. How cool is that? So the third thing that they do is they're skilled learners. So they thrive on feedback. They're able to adapt to that, to the changing environment. And we come down here to a path. This is really cool. Oh wow! This is really stunning. Really, really stunning. I hope you're not scared of heights. I really, oh wow, look at this. It's going to swing around. It's very windy. I'm holding on because I'm right on the edge. It's really, really windy. Oh my God, I hope I don't lose my hat. But that's, I don't know if you can see down there, it's straight down. That's pretty cool. So that leads us to the second skill that great leaders do. And that's the second skill is that they know how to handle themselves in stress. They understand what peak performance is. And so they've got a mind-body mastery. They know how what their body does connects to how they're thinking. And this is really important. Oh, you can hear the wind, it's amazing. This is really important in those times of stress, because as a leader, you're leading by example. what you do will set the tone for what everyone else follows, because you're the leader. I know that's a statement of the obvious, but it's too often that we forget that. And so this is where peak performance, understanding peak performance, and again at an unconscious level. And this becomes relevant when you have a situation, for example, when something doesn't go as planned, which is often the case, things will not go as planned. How does a person react? And it's one of those things when you get those bits of bad news, what's called bad news, and put it in employment perspective. You might be in your office and someone comes in and says, we've got to do this yesterday. And as a result, a lot of people will immediately go, oh my God, their body will hunch over, they'll slouch down and go, oh my God, how am I going to get this done? And in that state, it becomes very difficult to do that. So for example, if you were to hunch over, just while you're watching this video, hunch over, curl over like that, put everything together, and then try to access huge amounts of personal power. You simply can't do it because your body is not in a position where it's going to be able to access that kind of energy, the kind of energy that you need. And this is where great leaders understand that mind-body mastery, that when something happens, when there is a change, when there is something they need to adapt to, they're or immediately sit up straight. Sitting up straight, and you do the difference. Hunch over like that, curl over, or stand up straight, puff your chest out. It makes a big difference as to how your body reacts. And then also that switches and connects to your mind as well. So that's where they really understand that mind-body mastery. Now I'm walking out here. As you can see, I've got a little walkway behind me. It is very, very windy here. And I'm walking right on the edge. I'm going to swing around so you can see where I am. This is insane. Oh wow, look at this view. Freaky. You don't need to go on a carnival ride, just come out here on a windy day. Check this out. This is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Wow. And look, you've got these rock faces over here. Come through here. All these beautiful, I don't know if you can see that clearly on the camera. Be careful, I'm holding the camera over the edge here. I don't know if you can see that, but wow. Absolutely wow. This is so amazing. Just check that out. And down here, I can show you, I've got to shorten my thing. There's a little lake. I'm not normally scared of heights, but this is, wow. So there's a little lake down there. Just enjoy that. Look at what we've got. Wow. I'm really blown away by this. I'm glad I came out. I know it's freaking me out because I'm scared as hell. So I stand here, I'm holding on. Look, if I could move the camera down. Can it go down? No, come down this way. My hand's here. I'm holding on because it's really, really windy. This is where great leaders understand mind-body mastery. They understand at a conscious level that when something happens and they start to feel their body deflating, they immediately pick themselves up. So they might come in, the situation happens, and their immediate reaction might be, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then they start to crouch over as would be normally the case for people. But what a great leader will do, they'll have an unconscious trigger. When they see that or when they sense that happening, they will then immediately go upright and go, okay, I understand we're in a situation now we need to respond differently. And that is a critical difference between a good leader and a great leader, is they have that ability to unconsciously recognize that their body is going into that deflated state and they need to adjust. Over there, you can just faintly see it. Just faintly see it. There's a rainbow in the sky. There must be a little bit of rain. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It is very, very faint. It's just, oh, it's just disappeared now. Really, really, really impressive. It's just there. There's just this little faint rainbow. It's just there. It's really cool. I love it. In addition to understanding how their body works, again, it's a mind-body mastery. So what they do, great leaders do, is they're very much aware of their internal languaging as well. And this makes a huge difference. When something happens, when a stress happens, it becomes, in their mind, something that they say, okay, this is something I can do. This is something I can resolve. I can work it out. They think of how they can do it, instead of thinking of, taking a verbal approach of going, we can't do this, we're stuck, we've got a problem. It's very solution orientated, the way their thinking happens in their mind. The dialogue that they use within their mind is all about solutions, it's all about moving towards. And that makes a massive, massive difference as well. It all links together when you're in that mindset where you can unconsciously, you recognize the stress. Stress has happened, something's changed, you've got to deal with it. It then becomes the trigger in the body puffs up. And combine that with the mind and verbal dialogue, where it becomes, I can do this, I can solve this problem, I can work it out. And then from there, they're in a very powerful position to be able to resolve the situation. And this is where great leaders really understand peak performance, what peak performance means. It means in times of stress, they can react very quickly at an unconscious level to address that stress and to move things forward and resolve things. I'm not swaying because I've had a few drinks. I'm swaying because the wind is really buffeting me here. That's a second skill. I was going to say the third skill. It's the third in the order we've been presenting it. But it's the second skill that great leaders do. The difference between great leaders and good leaders is their ability to understand peak performance, how their thinking, how their body impacts their ability to act. And this is a fundamental key of great leadership, is understanding that it is your ability to act which will make you a great leader. For those, there's a lot of people that will be great thinkers and they will philosophize a lot, which is great. We need that kind of thing. But for those who are great leaders, your ability to inspire others, that's what makes a leader. You have the ability to inspire others. Check this out. I'm doing all right not to be huffing and puffing coming up that hill. I am pacing myself though. But it's your ability to inspire others that makes you a great leader, that makes people like Steve Jobs, Mother Teresa, those kind of people had the ability to understand peak performance. They knew that when stress happens all the time. When stress happens, how to react to that stress, how at an unconscious level. Now, a lot of times leaders are not aware that they're doing this. They're not aware that how they're reacting to that. So you need to learn at an unconscious level, which is a whole different set of videos. But you need to, great leaders will understand this peak performance. That when a stress happens, they will be aware of how they are thinking. What are their thought processes? What are they saying, to themselves in their mind? Is it a can-do? Is it a solution-orientated way of thinking? Also, too, they're unaware, unconsciously, of how their body behavior impacts their ability to act, which is really important because when we're thinking about that, this crouching over, oh my God, being deflated, all that kind of thing is not just a random action. This is a difference in way of thinking, and that makes all the difference for great leaders. So that's the second point that great leaders do. Out of the 4 points, we have their change masters, they're skilled learners, meaning they thrive on feedback and are able to integrate that feedback. And then the second point, a third in this order, is that they understand peak performance. They understand how they're thinking and how their body impacts their ability to act. Thank you for joining me here at Peterson's Lookout on an extremely windy day. I would highly recommend checking it out. It is absolutely stunning and beautiful here. My suggestion would probably be, unless you're into thrills and spills, then maybe come on a day that is not so windy. But check it out. It is really, really stunningly awesome. It's quite an amazing place. I was getting ready to leave, but I just wanted to show you this. The rain is coming through. It's actually starting to get really wet, but it's really amazing. It's so windy. It's really invigorating. I don't know if you like that kind of thing, but here it's so black through that way. But then if I swing around here, and you can see over this way, there's blue sky. Just check that out. There's blue sky over there. So if I swing back this way, look at that. The rain is starting to come through. It's quite insane. It is very invigorating, but I would probably recommend sitting inside by a nice warm fire on a day like today. It is so windy.